Neuro-linguistic psychologist. He is a fellow of the International Medical and Dental Hypnotherapy Association. The second edition of his book, Quantum Focus, is due out this fall in 2003. The last time I introduced Michael, I said the same thing I'll say now. I feel it an honor and a privilege to know him. I feel it an honor and privilege to be in the same building with him. So I give you Michael Ellner.
Thank you. So, I want to talk about what I consider golden opportunities for people with your skills and abilities and point out that we're not taking advantage of it. And there are a number of reasons that these opportunities exist, and I'll just quickly go into it. Perhaps the primary reason is life in America has changed dramatically since the September 11th attacks. And it appears to me that something is happening. The new normal for America is being depressed, being out of it, being disinterested. We're seeing it happen all over. And whether you realize it or not, we come into our profession and we're trained and we identify ourselves as agents of change. In the early 80s, I discovered there was another hat I could wear. I could be a broker of hope. And I began to listen to the radio, listening to the reports and watching TV about early AIDS and the height of the hysteria. I lived in New York City, and I kept hearing this sentence which became synonymous with AIDS at the time: always fatal, always fatal, always fatal. And to me it sounded counterintuitive. It didn't make sense. I couldn't imagine how an infectious disease could be always fatal. It certainly never happened from a historical perspective. And I was listening to people say that in my city, I was at the epicenter. And I began to think about it because I understood the power of suggestion. And it seemed to me if you got a diagnosis and you knew ahead of time that it was an always fatal disease, you might as well be shot. And I began to look at that. And it hit me. I could look for long-term survivors. If there weren't long-term survivors, I was on a quest to find them. What really blew my mind was how easy it was to locate them. From the very beginning of the crisis, it was never always fatal. In fact, there were many, many people getting the diagnosis in 77, 78, 79, when before we were aware of it, it was called GRID, gay-related immune deficiency. Those cases became the first AIDS cases when the name was changed in 81. And I found 16 people in the greater New York area who had a full-blown AIDS diagnosis who had recovered their health. And I approached these people, and I was pretty straightforward about it. I said, I'm a hypnotist. I've learned that I can model behavior. And I want to model your behavior. I want to put you out there if you let me and save some lives. And I pointed out to them that no one would be as effective at turning this around as they could, because they just had to be in a safe, anonymous situation and tell their stories. And we organized that. Today, I'm the president of a not-for-profit that's the largest information network in the world for people with AIDS. And the amazing thing about it is that the people themselves, when you study them, and I made it a point of studying them because, again, I was interested in modeling something. These people did what was considered the impossible. Why? And I made